There is a fear that lives at the base of everything. Not the fear of failure, not the fear of rejection, not even the fear of loss. Those are branches. What you are about to hear goes to the root. The Stoics spent 500 years studying fear at its source, and what they found was both simple and devastating. Every anxiety you carry, every low-grade dread that follows you through your days, every moment you feel unsafe in your own life, traces back to one thing: the fear of death. And the most ancient energy system in the world agrees. The root chakra, the first and most foundational energy center in your body, governs your survival instinct, your sense of safety, and your relationship to impermanence. The Stoics had a practice for healing it. They called it Memento Mori. This video is about why that practice is the most powerful root chakra work you will ever do. When people encounter the reality of death, they do one of two things. The first is to avoid it entirely. We are the most death-avoidant culture in human history. We do not talk about it at the dinner table. We hide it behind medical language and funeral arrangements, and the polite fiction that it will happen eventually, but not really, not yet, not to me. So we fill every quiet moment with noise. We stay busy. We accumulate. We plan. And underneath all of it, the fear does not go away. It just moves underground, where it shapes every financial decision, every relationship, every moment of anxiety that you cannot quite explain. The second thing people do is swing to the opposite extreme. They become preoccupied with mortality in a way that is not liberating, but consuming. Doomsday thinking, health obsession, the constant low hum of existential dread is dressed up as being realistic. Neither of these heals the root chakra. One keeps you running from something you cannot outrun. The other keeps you trapped inside the thing you fear. The Stoics found a third path, and it is more counterintuitive than almost anything in philosophy. They said, look directly at death, sit with it, name it, not to be morbid, but because clarity dissolves what avoidance preserves. By the end of this video, you will understand why the root chakra cannot fully heal as long as the fear of death remains underground. You will understand what the Stoics actually practiced when they contemplated death, not what most people assume it was, and you will have a specific practice you can begin today that addresses the fear at its actual root. Drop this in the comments before we go further. I do not fear losing what was never permanent. Say it even if it does not feel true yet, especially if it does not feel true yet. The first chakra, Muladhara, sits at the base of the spine. Its element is earth. Its function is foundational. It governs your most primal sense of safety, your relationship to survival, your physical body, and your place in the world. When the root chakra is balanced, there is a groundedness that does not depend on circumstances. You feel present, stable, held by existence itself. When it is blocked, the symptoms are recognizable. Chronic anxiety that you cannot trace to a specific cause. Persistent financial fear, even when the numbers are fine. A restlessness that makes stillness feel unsafe. The sense that something bad is always about to happen. Here's what most people do not realize. These symptoms are not random. They are all expressions of one underlying pattern. The root chakra is responding to impermanence, to the fact that nothing it reaches for stays, that every form of safety it constructs is temporary, that bodies end, relationships shift, certainties dissolve. The root chakra, at its deepest level, is negotiating with mortality. And if that negotiation never becomes conscious, it runs as background noise through every area of your life. The Stoics understood this, not in chakra language but with remarkable precision. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." He was not being morbid. He was prescribing a medicine for the exact dysregulation we are describing. Memento Mori, remember that you will die. This was not a philosophy of despair. In ancient Rome, when a general returned victorious from war, a servant walked behind him in the procession, and as the crowds cheered, the servant whispered in his ear, "Memento Mori." Remember you are mortal. Remember this will end. Not to diminish the victory, but to keep the general grounded in reality. Because a person who truly knows they are mortal makes different choices than one who is unconsciously pretending they are not. Marcus Aurelius returned to this practice again and again in his private journals. In Meditations he wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." This is the reframe. The Stoics were not telling you to dwell on death. They were telling you that the avoidance of death is itself what prevents you from living fully. The root chakra cannot settle into genuine safety as long as it is running from an inevitability. The Stoic concept of the dichotomy of control applies here with total clarity. Death is not in your control, it never was, but your relationship to that fact is entirely within your power. Your response to impermanence is yours, and that is where all the work lives. Marcus Aurelius again, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The outside event he is pointing to, the one most people most desperately want to control, is the fact of their own ending. And the strength he promises comes not from controlling it, but from releasing the grip of trying. If this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, one that takes both ancient philosophy and your energetic interior seriously, subscribe to the Awakened Stoic. This is where those two traditions meet, and this community is built for people who are ready to go all the way to the root. Subscribe now, the next video goes even deeper. Here's why Memento Mori works as root chakra healing, not just as philosophy. The root chakra is blocked when energy is locked in resistance. When the nervous system is spending its resources fighting an inevitable truth, rather than resting in it. Memento Mori does something specific to that pattern. It brings the feared thing into conscious awareness, where it can be met rather than avoided. And when you meet it directly, with eyes open, something unexpected happens. It gets smaller. Not because death is small, but because the mind's capacity to imagine and catastrophize is far more exhausting than the actual confrontation with the fact. Epictetus taught his students to hold everything they loved with an open hand. Your health, your relationships, your work, your life itself. Not because these things do not matter, but because the grip of ownership is what creates suffering when things change. He said, "Never say about anything that I have lost it, only that I have returned it." Death is the final return. When the root chakra stops gripping and starts resting in the reality of impermanence, something shifts energetically. The chronic bracing releases, the background anxiety quiets, not because life has become more secure, but because you have stopped requiring it to be. This is genuine root chakra work, not adding more safety, removing the illusion that safety requires permanence. Here's the practice. It takes 5 minutes. Marcus Aurelius did a version of this every morning before the demands of the empire reached him. Sit in stillness, feet on the floor, hands open, take 3 slow breaths and feel the weight of your body. This is root chakra grounding. You are signaling to the nervous system that you are here, physically present, not mentally somewhere in the future. Then say this, silently or aloud: "Today I will die." Not today specifically, but I will die. And that is not something to manage or avoid. It is simply what is true. Notice what happens in your body. There will likely be a contraction first, a tightening at the base of the spine. That is the root chakra encountering the truth it usually runs from. Stay with it. Then ask yourself, if I knew this was one of my final days, what would I stop pretending does not matter? What would I stop waiting to begin? Write whatever arises. 1 sentence is enough. Then close with this: my peace does not depend on permanence. Say it like a declaration, because it is one. Drop that in the comments now. My peace does not depend on permanence. 5 minutes, every morning if you can. This is not morbid. This is the most grounding practice the Stoics ever built. Because a person who has made peace with their own mortality moves through the world differently. They do not shrink. They do not grip. They do not spend their energy bracing against what is coming. They live. The root chakra does not heal by building more walls around what you fear losing. It heals when you stop requiring permanence to feel safe. The Stoics knew this. The chakra system maps it, and you now have the practice to begin. If this opens something in you, subscribe to the Awakened Stoic. Every transmission goes to the root of what is actually happening beneath the surface of your experience. Stay grounded, stay stoic, and I will see you in the next one.